Hey, you beautiful, empowered human. It is Nina here, and you are listening to Triggered. Can we play with that? Today's episode is going to invite us to explore, dare I say it, shame around loneliness. I know it is this totally human thing, and literally every single one of us feels it at some point in our lives. But I over here am very big on control what you can control. And that means that we can, in fact, maneuver some factors and play with some things so that we can disrupt our loneliness if only we're willing to lean into our edge and potentially triggering territory. So that's what you're invited to lean into today to transform a hard conversation into a teachable moment. Grab your journal or a really good friend to dialogue with about what comes up for you in this episode. Because for now, you know I'm curious. Are you ready to play?
Welcome to Triggered. Can we play with that? You know that moment when your emotions ramp up in an instant, leaving you feeling helpless, frozen, or out of control? In that moment, you've been emotionally hijacked, the very definition of triggered. And I want to ask you, can we play with that? I'm Nina L. Garcia, drama therapist and empowerment coach of Houston Creative Arts Therapy. Join me as we discover ways to empower you and the people who mean the most to you to transform hard conversations into teachable moments. Triggered. Real playful, real respectful, real empowered.
Let's take a breath. Ooh. Story time. So this is such a human thing, loneliness. Every single one of us gets lonely. It happens. It is a human thing. We hope that it is temporary and that it passes. So for anyone who's out there, it's like, my loneliness has been forever, right? How can we disrupt that and allow that loneliness to be temporary? How do we allow it to pass, right? So we've got to have some skills for doing that. Interestingly, we have a world of resources at our fingertips in order to help us disrupt loneliness. And here's the thing, not just create distraction, but actually create connection. Okay. If you want to disrupt your loneliness effectively, my first invitation for you to write down in your journal is to do so effectively with connection. Okay. How do we do that? I'm so glad you asked. This episode was brought to you by a lot of human beings, but one moment in particular where I was speaking with a client, and the client was looking at me and they were talking about, loneliness. And eventually what came up is I was inspired to share a resource. And I said, well, if we're lonely and socializing specifically with new friends might be something we want to explore, have you thought about getting on a friendship app? And of course, client or no client, I have said this to several people. The very typical response back is, Nina, a friendship app? Are you kidding me? I'm not a loser. That is so lame. And I'm like, okay, well, listen, boo, okay, because I'm over here on a friendship app myself. Yes, I said it. I have confessed to you my secret. I am on a friendship app. I will probably tell you which one. They have not paid for this episode. So just so we're clear, what I share here is completely my opinion and my experience, not from that company. But I am a human being who needs other human beings. And my friend, if it has not occurred to you that you are a human being who also needs other human beings, we may be talking about bigger challenges. Are you human? We're not going to talk about that on this episode, but just a question to consider because humans are wired for connection. So I don't want us to feel shame around loneliness. I want us to unshame this. I want us to destigmatize it. I want us to decolonize it. I want you to say it is totally normal for me to feel lonely, period. And also, if I had the skills to disrupt my loneliness so that I could effectively connect, would I go for it? Would I do that? I, my friends, absolutely would. There is no shame in my friendship game. So I was noticing in my real human life, I was very busy with work, successful with work, but very busy with work. I'm running a practice, I'm hosting a podcast, I'm building an identity wellness program online, right? There's all of these things that are happening professionally. I'm a mom on the side, right? On the side. I'm a mom 100% of the time, just so we're clear. But right, I'm also momming it. I got to think about these things, right? And what's going on with them and what's going on with me, and am I showing up? I got a house I got to pay a mortgage for, I got a body that I got to take care of, and so on and so forth, right? And what kept being pushed down to the bottom was my social life. I was not allowing myself to actually prioritize my friendship relationships in a way that really felt satisfying to me. And so I was stuck with this moment and I thought, gosh, I got to get out there more. I am socializing. I am very social, but I need that human to human connection. How can I do this? And lo and behold, popped up Bumble BFF. Hey, Vina. There are actually a few different apps out there. If you're like, how can I get in on this? Just go to Google, also not paying me, but hey, it's my bestie, and put in friendship apps for, and then put in literally any identity you want. Any identity you want, you beautiful human being, because you matter. And I wonder, what can we find out there that somebody else has designed? And it may just be with you in mind. So I got on first, actually, I looked up an article, I found a bunch, and then I went through and I was like, well, what am I vibing with? I tried several different apps. I locked in on Hey Vina ages ago, over a year ago. But this year recently, I was like, I'm going to try out Bumble BFF. It's a thing. I've heard it's a thing. What's it like? And I have been pleasantly surprised. Okay. Not like shocked. This isn't like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what would happen, right? I assumed that I would find some matches. I assumed that I would connect with some people. But what I'm also learning about, of course, in the process of connecting with others is I am connecting with myself again. Oh, that's right. I do like to do XYZ thing. Oh, that's right. I do like to lean into my edge and try ABC thing, right? I do like to have long conversations with people who aren't my clients and who aren't other therapists, right? And what I mean by that for you is, are you getting out of your comfort zone? Are you really leaning into your edge and meeting new people that you wouldn't typically meet because they're not your work buddies? They're not the people who are on the street from you. They're people who are, paralleling a human experience with you, but they're doing it outside of your neighborhood, folks. An app can help you create connections where you might not have otherwise had an opportunity to do so. And that is gold, okay? Especially when we're thinking about, Nina, I've got shame around this and I don't want to. Well, let's go ahead and disrupt that by helping to create some nice, healthy connections for you. Yes, with yourself, and yes, with other people around this, around you, trying to get out right around you, trying to socialize, and around other people who, guess what, don't want to be lonely either. They want to get out, they want to have a good time with people who are, I don't want to say similar in the way that it's just like them, but have similar interests, right? Have similar hobbies and want to experience life in a similar way. So I get on this app and I share this with the client, to get back to that story. And they're like flabbergasted. And they're not the only person who has experienced this. Here is the lesson that I would offer to you. Yes, as a therapist, yes, as a mother, but I think primarily as a human being, knowing how human beings work. One of the things that we're trying to do when we transform hard conversations into teachable moments on this podcast is we're trying to help you control what you can control, because let's be real, life is inherently unstable. You can't control so much more than you can. But one of the lessons that I have found as we try to heal humanity, offering these hard conversations and tools to make it your way through them, healing your humanity means that there is self-love in that process. And so when I think about what the lesson is that I would take from friendship apps and being willing to lean into my edge and vulnerably put myself out there to meet other people who want to do the same things I do, they want to connect. They want to disrupt that loneliness. They want to not feel shame around it because they just want to, exist as they are. The lesson that I would take is that really loving yourself means taking risks to let yourself be loved as you are. If you take nothing from this episode, please let it be an invitation to love yourself in a way that allows others to love you as you are, not as they hope you would be, not as they're casting you to be, but as you are. So, of course, as we're leaning into these ideas, I want to give you an adventure challenge for the upcoming week. I like to invite people to lean into their edge. I like to invite people to have these growth-oriented moments. If you are closer to, wanting to do this privately, you might journal about this. You might talk with a friend about it or your own therapist or a coach. You might even check out a meetup if you're ready to go that difference, right? That leaning into your edge and trying a group activity out there. But if you're like closer to level 4 or 5, leaning into your edge, and we'll go ahead and put that leaning in continuum in the show notes so you know what it is I'm referencing right now. If you're at like that level 4 or 5, I'm ready to get out of here, Nina. I'm ready to control what I can't control. Like, let's do it. Let's get this hashtag empowered human life on. My invitation is for you to find a social app that helps you connect in real life, not online. There's value in doing it online, but my invitation to you, empowered human, is to empower connection in real life. So yes, right now I'm doing it on Bumble BFF. You might be doing it on any of the other apps that are out there. Connect genuinely, authentically, take the risk to be yourself and to let someone else enjoy you as you are. That is my challenge for this upcoming week. Definitely tag me if you lean into your edge with this one. And that is what I planned for you today, folks, to really quick just lean into your edge with this one. There is something else. I'm going to have a vulnerable moment with you, actually. I have a call to action for you. Typically, I say, if you love this, share it. Here's what we're doing. I recently did an episode that talked about gun control and leaned in that way. And it asked people to really think about the yes and to really try to empower a world where both could exist. And it was very unpopular with certain groups because they assumed that I was saying we should not have something. And they didn't listen to the full episode. And they went and they wrecked my reviews on Spotify. I was 5 stars and now I am not. And so I don't need you to fix anything. I don't want you to fix anything, right? That's not the case here. What I am inviting is if this particular episode was 5 stars for you, you did get something from this and you think people should listen in, if you would give us a 5-star review and specify which episode so that people can gain what I hope I am offering to you. I spend a lot of time in on these. I hope it's valuable. But here's my other nugget. If this is not, please let me know. I am a human being over here and I am sharing so much. I hear from so many of you that it is, but if you are that person who feels that it's not, let me know, please. I want to make sure that I am giving you 100% of what I can offer in the context of what we can do in a 10 to 30-minute episode, right? So we can never cover all facets, but we can certainly cover at least one. But that is my call to action for you with that 5-star review. If it's helpful, name this episode. And otherwise, lean into your edge with the challenge. Get your friendship app on, get out there and socialize in real life. Even if it's not about the app, get out there in real life, hashtag IRL, and do you. Dare to show up as you are. That's what I planned for today, folks. Thanks so much for being willing to play with and explore your triggers as a human being. Stay curious.